Welcome, everyone, to a special episode of Tea Time with Tommy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special episode because we need no introduction. I am here with ESPN MMA world-renowned journalist ARIEL HELWANI. Thank you again for taking the time, ARIEL, to come on the show.
My pleasure, man. I didn't know I should have brought my own teacup.
I was gonna, I should have
Right?
warned you about that. If we ever get a chance to do it again, I'll definitely let you know about the teacup and the
Deal.
tea.
Deal.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, ARIEL, thank you for coming on. Let's get right into the topic. So the first topic, I have to bring this up. The New York Knicks, real quickly.
Ah,
What do you think of their current situation right now? I know you're a big Knicks fan.
yeah, it's kind of hard to really dissect their situation because obviously the whole NBA is sort of up in the air right now. But let's talk about them before the pandemic hit. I wasn't, all that impressed with this past season. I actually was impressed with Mike Miller, the interim head coach who replaced David Fizdale. I thought he did a great job, and I think that he was getting the players to play with a lot more oomph and a lot more pride, especially on the defensive end. And I thought that he was doing a much better job than David Fizdale. And then, of course, they hired Leon Rose to be the president of basketball operations. And I didn't think that Steve Mills had done a great job at all over the past years. And I felt like he was on borrowed time. So I was happy with that decision. And I was curious to see what Leon Rose would do and how the season would finish up. It felt like a lame duck season. And then, of course, everything hit. So I'm really curious if they do start things back up. Will they get a new coach? Will they get a new general manager? I know they re-signed Scott Perry for another year, but I just don't think he's done a great job as well. And then, of course, what will happen with the draft and where they will end up there. But yeah, the pieces. There's a couple of bright spots here and there. There's R.J. Barrett, of course. There's I don't know, Frank Ntilikina to a degree, maybe Mitchell Robinson. I'm very high on, but other than that, like there's not all that much to be excited about.
Yeah, but the thing is, ARIEL, 2 years from now, Giannis Antetokounmpo and
No,
Mike Leonard will be no.
no
you're
chance.
with you're with
I'm not
Stephen A.
falling for that. I'm not falling for that. Why would they leave their situation? Certainly, Kawhi is not leaving. Giannis, why would he leave this? Like, why? The days of saying that you need to play in New York or LA to be famous to get great endorsement deals. Those days are over. They don't exist anymore. And I would be shocked if he did. Maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe all those years where I thought LeBron was coming or KD was coming, and now when I don't think it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I think their best bet at this point is to try to rebuild through the draft and free agency, trying to get pieces here and there to eventually have some kind of okay team.
Absolutely. Well, maybe Kawhi will come to our hometown of Toronto, Canada, back again in 2 years. Who knows?
Yeah,
That's a
I don't think that's happening either. But hey, he's uh, he's given you guys enough, right? He's done enough for that city, that country, that franchise. I don't think anyone could hate him for wanting to go back home.
absolutely not. Kawhi's always in our hearts. All right, let's get into it now. MMA. So, Fight Island seems to be coming up soon. There's always been rumors persisting about Fight Island happening from the UFC. I have to ask you, Ariel, what do you think? Do you think this Fight Island thing is a good thing for the UFC happening right now?
I think it's a good thing from a promotional and marketing standpoint. People really like to say Fight Island. They seem to be really curious about what it's going to look like, how it's all going to go down. And I will admit that early on, I didn't really feel like it was a real thing. It felt like Dana White was saying it almost out of desperation because he was struggling with finding answers as to how they can continue to put on events. And I think that now they've realized that a lot of people like saying Fight Island and talking about Fight Island, and now they're selling T-shirts with Fight Island on it with a logo and all this stuff. And I think they've almost backdoored their way into it. I don't know if they would admit that. And now I'm hearing that they're starting to like talk about putting on events in July on this Fight Island. I don't know exactly where in the world it is, but it seems like a thing that they are going to do. And honestly, it seems like they should do it because people like talking about it so much. They just like the idea of fights happening on a beach somewhere. So it seems like a real thing right now, and maybe we'll see it in July.
Yeah, and I also found out though through research that Bulldog fights used to occur on a Fight Island where there was
Yeah.
shelter and Jorge Masvidal. Maybe UFC wants to plan something like Bulldog used to do back in the day.
Yeah, that was crazy because what they did was they did a lot of fights. They put on a lot of fights and taped them, didn't air them live, and then rolled them out as TV shows. Now, I don't think the UFC is going to do that, but yes, it's true. That did happen. Chael fought there a couple times. Jorge fought. A bunch of fighters fought there, and that was really fun. And I think that's what it's going to look like. I did an interview with Chael maybe a month and a half or so ago where he talked about, fighting on the island and all that stuff. And, he has great memories of it. And I can imagine a lot of fighters would want to take part in that as well. So let's see what happens.
Oh, absolutely. It should be exciting times coming up for the UFC. Next topic I'd like to bring up, Ariel, is Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa. You know these two very well. They're on the collision course right now. Who do you think is surging right now in regards to popularity and everything? Do you think it's Paulo or do you think it's Israel?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't think that the mainstream audience really knows who Paulo Costa is just yet. I think a lot more people know who Israel is, although his last fight wasn't really one that the fans were all that excited about and that he got a lot of positive press for. So, I mean, if you're just asking like who's more known by the public, it's definitely Israel Adesanya. But I don't think he's at his peak right now, and I think maybe his Q rating took a bit of a hit in his last fight against Yoel Romero. But I still think he's an incredible fighter with an incredible personality, and I didn't really blame him for that fight all that much. So I can't wait for his next fight, and I hope it's against Paulo Costa. It would just be the second time in UFC history that two undefeated male fighters fight for a belt. The first time being Rashad Evans against Lyoto Machida, UFC 98. And this is, I mean, what a clash in terms of personalities and styles and body types and all that stuff. So yeah, I hope it happens over the summer, maybe in August, and hopefully, I hope it doesn't turn into the Ferguson Khabib of the middleweight division because it seems like we've been talking about it for a while now.
Absolutely. And I heard rumors these two might be tough coaches. Like, do you think this might happen the next tough season?
Tough coaches. I don't know about this whole Tough thing. I mean, I thought Tough was dead, and I feel like the Contender Series is a lot better right now. Like Tough had a good run, but it kind of ran its course. So I hope that they don't do that because the thing that was annoying about Tough also was that they would put guys on the sidelines. Like the coaches wouldn't be able to fight for several months, and that just seemed, I don't know. It just seemed counterproductive because you got a guy who's hot, and now you put him on Tough because you want to maximize his like just the way that people are seeing him and talking about him, like you want to capitalize on his newfound fame or whatever the case it is and maximize his star power. And then all of a sudden they're not fighting for 6 to 8 months because they have to wait for the season to be over. And now they don't have as much momentum as they did at the beginning. So to me, that always seemed a little weird. I wouldn't be in favor of it coming back.
It's so fun seeing those guys go back and forth, though, Arrow. Just from the fan point of view, like, no, you don't think it's going to happen?
Oh, Izzy versus Paulo or them as coaches?
Oh, no, Izzy versus Paulo. It's so fun seeing those guys.
Oh yeah. I think it's going to happen. I just don't want it to happen, with the Tough vehicle behind it.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's a good point. Good point. There's also things going around that Francis Ngannou, Jon Jones. I've heard people speaking of that may happen down the line. Do you think that's a fight that UFC should make, or no?
Yeah, initially I didn't think that they should make it because I really wanted the Dominic Reyes versus Jon Jones rematch to happen. But now that I've thought about it, I was talking about Jon Jones fighting Francis Ngannou last year before anyone was talking about it. And then he started to tease us about fighting Stipe Miocic. And then we come to find out that he already had a bout agreement with Thiago Santos. So it's like, all right, like, why are you trying to trick us? But now that they've gone so far deep into this thing, and it seems like he doesn't really feel all that motivated to fight at 205, and Francis is available, like, I feel like you have to make the fight now. Like, then what was the point of all this, And we've long wanted to see Jon Jones move up to heavyweight. We've wanted to see him test the waters there. This is a perfect opportunity. And Francis looks amazing as of late. He's won 4 in a row. He's knocking everyone out. Just knocked Jairzinho Rozenstruik out in 20 seconds. I mean, to me, it's a mega super fight that the UFC can headline a pay-per-view with, and everyone seems really intrigued by it. So I'm curious to see if they are able to strike a deal and make this happen. And could you imagine Jon Jones wins that fight. Daniel Cormier beats Stipe Miocic, and now you got the trilogy DC versus Jones 3 now for the heavyweight title. That would be pretty incredible.
Absolutely. Do you think that'll happen? Do you think those two will fight before either of them retire? I'd love to see it too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has to happen, right? Because DC has to beat Stipe, and that fight needs to happen, and John needs to fight Francis and beat him. So, and who knows if DC comes back, even if he beats Stipe. So, I'm just saying the stars would align very nicely if they both fight at heavyweight and win their fights.
No, absolutely. That would be a great fight to see if DC and Jon Jones goes again. I've also looked at your social media in the past, and
Yes,
there's ARIEL HELWANI Boxing
yes,
trending going on right now. Where did that come up from? Like there we
got my
go, there we go. The shirt on. There we
yeah.
go, Ariel. Where did that come up from? Did you just start? How'd you start this thing up?
I don't know. At the beginning of the pandemic, I've been boxing a little bit prior to this since August, and I was kind of missing punching something, and I've seen those things where you put it around your head and you hit the ball, and I don't know, just bought it off of Amazon for fun, and then I posted like a quick thing on my IG story of me doing it, and then someone replied on Twitter with them doing it, and I was like, wow, people might copy this, and maybe it could be something fun for people and give people a reason to be a little active and have fun, whatever. And so I just kind of dubbed it Helwani Boxing as a joke and kept retweeting people, and then more people did it. And then I teamed up with this guy, David Lebitard in Miami, and he made a logo, and we sold T-shirts, and the proceeds, all of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds went to. Oh, someone's calling me here. Sorry. 100% of the proceeds went to charity, and we generated like $10,000 worth of $10,000. It was pretty cool. I don't know if it's going to turn into anything more than that, but for those 2 months or so while we were all kind of inside and there were no sports going on, I thought it was a fun thing to do.
Is there any chance I can join the ARIEL HELWANI Boxing Club someday?
Hey, listen, it's open to everyone. My question to you is, why haven't you joined it yet?
Oh, it's I've just gotten lazy, Ariel. But don't worry, you have motivated me now
Let's
to
go.
to start doing it. So I'll be posting one soon down the line for you.
All right. I'll hold you
uh,
to that.
Absolutely. Final thing. Of course, you've probably been talk. A lot of people ask you this in the interviews and everything with you. The Undertaker and the Brock Lesnar, that famous
Yeah.
interview with them. I saw you interviewed the Undertaker, Matt Calloway, last week. Like, how did that? Like, what were you feeling when that happened? I know you
Well,
didn't set it up, but
yeah, a lot of emotions because I've really been wanting to talk to him about that for 10 years. That was 10 years ago. And he has this new documentary series out called The Last Ride. And so when they told me he was doing media and that he wanted to talk to me, I was very excited. I know he's a big MMA fan, but I thought it was an amazing thing that he wanted to talk to me, that he knew who I was, that he remembered me. And of course, the main thing I wanted to talk to him about was that moment. Was it a work? Was it a shoot? What happened? How did it happen? What was the aftermath? All that stuff. And so I was getting a little worried because his connection wasn't great, and I was worried that we wouldn't be able to, get the full answer. But I feel pretty confident now that I understand the whole story. There's still parts of it that I can't believe I was standing there, and this whole thing happened at that exact moment that Brock was walking by, just right place at the right time, I guess. And he was a really cool guy, really down to earth, and is a massive MMA fan. He wanted to talk about MMA afterwards and talk about Ferguson Gaethje and all this stuff. So it was cool to talk to the guy behind the character, right? Especially at this point in his life, he's an icon, he's a legend, and I'm happy that 10 years later, I finally got to ask the question that have been bugging me for so long.
no, that interview you had with the Undertaker and Lesnar coming back will be a classic for forever, for years to come. So our grandkids will
Thank
see
you.
that.
I hope so. I hope so.
So Ariel, let's see if do you have time for trivia or
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick?
yeah.
Absolutely. So we're gonna end this segment, Ariel. I always end it with a guest special trivia. So this will be the UFC trivia. It'll be 5 questions.
All
Let's get started. Question number 1: Who was Justin Gaethje's first win against in the UFC?
right. Michael Johnson.
Boom! I think you're gonna get 5 out of 5. This is too easy for you. 1-1 for ARIEL HELWANI here. Question number 2: who are the two losses that Justin Gaethje lost to in his career, UFC? Who are those two?
Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier.
All right, I'm gonna have to think of better questions here. This is too basic for you here. 2 for 2 here for Ariel. Question number 3. This is a little tough. I think you'll get it. Who was the first ever UFC champion?
Okay, but what do you mean by UFC champ? Like the guy who won UFC 1?
Yes.
Royce Gracie.
All right. You know what? I think I was like insulting your intelligence with this question.
Yeah.
I apologize for that. I'm sorry about that. I'll bring it next time. This is too easy for you right now. Question number 4. Here we go. Okay, this might be a little tough. What was the main event at UFC 129? I can't give you a hint because if I give you one hint, you'll get it.
George St. Pierre against Jake Shields. Toronto, the Rogers Center, baby. Come on.
Wow.
April 30th, 2011.
You're making me look
what
like
was the co-main event? Mark Hominick against Jose Aldo. What was the tri-main event? Randy Couture against Lyoto Machida. What was on the prelims that night? Nathan Diaz against Rory McDonald.
And Stephen Thompson was also on the undercard that year.
Was he?
Yeah. Wonderboy was on that card as well. The preliminaries. Wow. You're making me look like the fool right now, Ariel.
You're wrong. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's UFC debut was at UFC 143. I'm going to look it up. Are we going to look it up right now? How about that?
Yeah, let's.
I'm going to say that Stephen Wonderboy, I'm looking at you the whole time. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's UFC debut was UFC 143 in February of 2012 against Dan Stichen. All right, now I'm clicking on his link. I'm scrolling down. UFC 143, February of 2012. Wonderboy Thompson knocked out Dan Stichen with a head kick at 4 minutes and 13 seconds of the first round. His prior fight to that one came at Fight Party Masquerade Fight Party in October of 2011 against Patrick Mandio. So Stephen Wonderboy Thompson did not fight at UFC 129.
Wow. Okay, because I have a friend who's a huge MMA fan. It's his fault. You gotta blame him. He didn't do his research. He didn't do his research. Wow, making me look at the fool here. Okay, let's see. All right, maybe this one. Okay, this one. Here we go. Last one, Ariel. Who was Conor McGregor's first UFC opponent ever?
Oh, are you serious? Marcus Brimage, UFC on Fuel TV in Stockholm, Sweden, April of 2013.
You know what? You're too good at this. Maybe next time you should ask me the questions.
I think I just asked you when you got it wrong, Wonderboy Thompson.
He told me he was on that card. I apologize.
What was the main event of UFC 140?
Now that would have was that in Toronto?
I don't know.
140. GSP Matt Serra?
No. I mean, really? You kidding me? Jon Jones, Lyoto Machida, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Oh my god! I was thinking Canada for because GSP and everything, and you're from Montreal. That's why I said GSP. But
GSP Matt Serra was UFC 69 and UFC 83.
Oh my goodness! Oh yep. That was going to be my bonus question, but I'm not even going to bother anymore. Right?
What was the question?
Wow. That was the bonus question. I was going to ask you which Cane City hosted the first ever UFC event. You just said it. GSP Matt Serra.
Yeah, UFC. Montreal, April 2008.
When you think of UFC, the number, you even remember the if you give you the number that the main event. If I give you a number,
yeah, go right now. Hit me.
Oh no, I was just okay. UFC 206.
UFC. What's interesting about the newer ones are harder for me, but it always takes me a second. That was Max Holloway, Anthony Pettis in Toronto.
You know what, Ariel? I take my hat off. Honestly, you have made me look like the fool now. My friends are gonna be all over me saying that I asked the easiest questions in the world. And but hey, you are our 6th perfect trivia winner, Ariel Helwani. Oh, the other 5. There's a Rogers Sportsnet anchor. His name's Kyle Bukauskas. Do you know him?
Oh yeah. He does the hockey, right?
Yeah, he got 6 for 6 at one time as a guest, and then the others are like close friends of mine. They got like 5 for 5 one time as well. But you and Kyle, like I think next time when I bring you guys on, it's gonna be even tougher. Like it has to be numbers and stats and stuff.
All right.
But Ariel, please don't go yet. Please don't hang up yet. But thank you for coming on the show. It was an honor. Thank you for taking the time out to come on the show. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us for another great episode of Tea Time with Tommy. Cheers. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good one.